What is up, guys? Welcome back to our YouTube channel. We are so happy to start this new episode 2 of Jireh Basement Talks. It's your boy Johnny, and with me we have
Gerson,
Anthony,
David.
and we are excited to get this started. Gracias para todos los que se han conectado con nosotros. Estamos muy contentos de empezar el episodio 2. Y así que iniciamos con el intro. So, welcome back, everybody. Sean bienvenidos otra vez de nuevo. Hoy tenemos un episodio muy especial.
very special.
Very
special.
Something very, very good.
There's a couple things. Hay unas cositas que queremos hablar. Pero primero, antes de empezar nuestro tema del día de hoy, before we start our own topic, I have one thing to announce.
What is that? What is it?
Dinos.
So, starting next week, empezando la otra semana,
He said next week.
I said next week, vamos a comenzar. We're going to start incorporating our music sessions into our podcast. So, what does that mean for Jireh? So that means, and our viewers, not just us. That means that we're going to start incorporating our actual sessions into our podcast, meaning that we are going to show you behind the scenes of how to maybe play a song, maybe a pedal board, guitar pedal board, guitar amps, piano ideas, different things like that, different topics. Also, we're going to incorporate this accordingly to whatever you guys comment and let us know what you guys want to see in the video. What do you guys think? I like that.
That's a great idea.
That is awesome.
I'm
down. Let's
Basically
do it.
kind of doing like mini tutorials. Kind of mini tutorials. I feel like it could be kind of like a live session, una sesión en vivo, pero sí como mini tutoriales para las personas que quieran ver detrás de las escenas de cómo se tocan alabanza. A lo mejor podamos hacer un en vivo. Uno nunca sabe. Sorpresa. So, necesito que todos nuestros viewers, nuestros subscribers, make sure, procúrense de mantenerse a tanto de los videos porque va a haber muchas cosas en el futuro. Así que abajo va a salir un pop-up de nuestro canal de YouTube para que vean a dónde se tiene que ir a hacer el like, suscribir y pegarle a la campanita para nunca perderse el episodio. So, dependiendo de esta semana, depending on this week, guys, depending on what we see in the comments, we'll start with that musical instrument.
Ooh.
All right.
O si hay una alabanza cristiana que quieren que toquemos o tratemos de enseñar, también. Y si no vemos ningún comentario, pues empezamos con lo que pensemos would be right. Yeah, I say if there's no comments, we choose. How about that? Yeah. We're choosing.
Sounds like a deal.
Let's do it.
I'm down.
All right. Okay. So, to continue our second episode, by the way, thank you guys to everybody who viewed the first one. Thank you for continuing and joining us in this journey. And I know that this whole entire journey with this project will be a huge blast and a huge blessing, not only in our lives, but in yours. Pero I don't know if you guys noticed this. Last week, we actually had a comment.
I did.
Yeah, that actually, it kind of triggered this next topic, which is super. This is an open discussion, by the way. So everybody has room to talk, which is a super big deal, especially in the life of the youth, because nowadays I feel like it's getting harder and harder to reach out to the young ones to truly get to a point where they follow Christ with all their heart and they love him for who he is. I was young one time. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there's times where you just want to give up. Pero it got to a point where you grew to love God. You grew to trust in the Lord. So this is what we're gonna talk about today. Y el tema que le pusimos Our topic name is How to Heal When the Church Hurts You.
That's strong.
That's a very important
Mm.
That sounds deep.
That is deep.
It sounds like it's gonna be a deep conversation.
And it's something that's happening nowadays too. And it's still going on too.
Yeah, so it's how to heal when the church hurts you. The reason why we're bringing this up is, like I said earlier, is that there was a topic there was a comment that triggered it. Let me read part of it for you guys. If you guys want to read the rest of it, and if you guys want to encourage this viewer, this subscriber, go ahead and just comment and make sure that he feels loved, he feels welcome back,
Or she.
he or she.
Yep.
Make sure if you guys want to help in that way, también comenten ahí, denle palabras de ánimo, aconsejándolo que nunca se dé por vencido o ella se dé por vencida. Pero sí, todos tienen el derecho de comentar, de ayudar, de animarse uno al otro, porque at the end of the day, we're a big family.
Somos
Exactly.
hermanos en Cristo, así en el último día. At the end of the day, we're brothers and sisters in Christ.
Yeah.
Somos una familia de Dios.
We're all
And
in it together. Exactly.
honestly.
And the reason why we started the podcast initially was to connect with all of you, grow together,
Amen.
and just kind of help each other out. So please be positive in all of your comments. We don't want any negativity flying around. We just want to have a positive atmosphere. So just like my brother said, make sure you're leaving positive comments on there, making sure you're helping this individual grow. Así que apoyen a todos los que están en esta familia con nosotros.
So uplifting things, you know? I mean, that's what we all want to. Eso es lo que todos queremos sentir. Queremos sentir ese apoyo, ese ánimo, okay? So let me read this real quick, guys. It says, why do churches have the idea of turning away from sinners? I grew up in a church, but I left at the age of 15 due to them being judgmental with me and others.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. But
Who wants to start off the discussion?
I don't know. Maybe I have on my notes, I have a couple of top 3 key points that I could talk about, but I'm not sure how many we should share individually of topics.
Let's share one. Let's start with one, and then we'll feed off of that.
All right. So I guess I'll start.
Yeah.
One of the advices that I am gonna give is to pray and never flee or run from the church. Why do I say that? Right? When something occurs that has you've been hurt within the church, the first thing that you got to do is you got to pray. Okay. The reason why is because you want to spend more time within God's presence, knowing because He is there loving you at all times, regardless of what happened. Right. There's a verse of 1 Peter 5:7. It'll come up on the screen. It says, cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. Hay un versículo en primera de Pedro 5:7 que va a salir en su screen que dice, echando toda vuestra ansiedad sobre Él porque Él tiene cuidado de vosotros. So, cuando algo sucede así, lo primero que tienes que hacer es orarle a Dios que te dé el esfuerzo para seguir y guiarte por este versículo. Porque sabiendo que Dios está ahí contigo, y dice la palabra de Dios, darle toda tu ansiedad porque Él cuida de ti. He is careful for you. And running from the church is not the best thing that an individual should do when something like that occurs. That is the biggest mistake, in my opinion, that some certain persons should do. We don't want to run from the church because you're just going to end up hurting yourself even more. The reason why I say you're going to end up hurting yourself even more is because at times you're going to feel like everything's peaceful because you're not in that pain-free world. Mm-hmm. But in reality, you're hurting yourself in a deeper level because you're losing your salvation.
Exactly.
Yep.
So feeding off of what you just said, because chistosamente, I have the same thing, pero lo tengo reworded differently. Pero here's the thing. Somebody like us, we grew up in the church. Our parents have always been faithful. They have always taught us that no matter how hard things get, just to be faithful. La cosa es que hay veces, tal vez, I don't know, no conozco la situación de todos, pero hay veces tal vez esa persona no tiene ese apoyo.
Mm-hmm.
que te puede decir, oye, ¿sabes qué? Sigue luchando, sigue adelante. Pero there is one thing I could tell you, that we all have to fight for our salvation. Como tú dices, todos tenemos individually have to fight for our salvation. So, to all those young kids who are watching this video, point number 1 is do not allow bad experiences to cause you to drift from God.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I was reading the other day un post. It was like, honestly, cuando uno de esos como te sale como en a, ¿cómo te digo?
Like an ad?
No, not an ad. Like a motivational poster.
Oh, okay.
Inspirational quote.
Inspirational post.
And it said, it was very true. And I was like, oh man, I should bring this up. And it said, I'm sorry that the people of the church hurt you, but remember, God did not hurt you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
God is love. Dios es
Which-
amor.
Which is why in the first thing I said is make sure you go pray because God is there caring for you. He's there to be there for you at all times.
And that's the first thing that as a young kid, which I understand, that's the first thing that comes in our mind. It's like, oh, the church hurts me. The church hurt me. Guess what? I'm gonna just drift away and turn my back to God. It's not God's fault. In reality, and hablando en serio, no es la culpa de Dios.
His plan is never to hurt you.
El plan es nunca de lastimarte. El plan es siempre de
De
instruirte, de guiarte al camino correcto. La Biblia específicamente dice que tú tienes you have your choice of choosing your own path. You could choose the wide path or you could choose the narrow path. And I'm going to be honest with every single person that's watching this video. Si eres adulto, si eres joven, a veces como ser humanos, what we do, guess what? Buscamos the easy path.
El más
Oye.
fácil.
El más
Es
fácil.
que
Guess
no
what?
sé-
It's a wide one.
Lo que nos hace como es like makes our life more smoother. Como así, because cuando es the path de Cristo, hay ups and downs. You know, there's hills and you go up and down. And at the end of the day, hay victory, hay victoria at the end of the hill. Pero muchas veces nosotros como jóvenes o adultos no queremos pasar por esos up and downs para ver la victoria. Queremos ver la straight. Ya queremos ver la victoria y we choose the easy path.
Mhm.
Y sabiendo-
It's like how Tony said. Many people nowadays escogen el paso más fácil. And God is like, no, go to my path because I have the perfect path for you. Walk with me and you'll see all the maravillas que te estoy dando y te quiero enseñar.
Yeah. So brings me to topic number 2. Okay. And this is something that I feel like a lot of people do. It doesn't matter if you're in church. It doesn't matter if you're not in church. Don't judge all churches by your one experience or from your bad experience. I'm not going to say one because it could be multiple. But don't judge all churches the same way because of your bad experiences. ¿Qué culpa tiene la otra iglesia?
Exacto.
Que los pongas, that you categorize them in the same spot because just because they're a church ellos no tienen culpa of whatever happened to you in the other place.
Y es algo que para todos, seas adulto, seas joven, cuando algo sucede así, you're always going to categorize it that way. Que siempre vas a decir, oh, si esa iglesia me lo hizo, me imagino que la otra iglesia también. Si esta iglesia me lastimó, me imagino que el otro también. Y es algo que nunca debemos de tener en nuestro vocabulario. Si algo sucedió en la iglesia previa, no todos son iguales así. Y es algo que todos tienen que entender.
Sí, porque, for example, like our church, our dad's the pastor. I don't know. I would feel bad que alguien viniera o llegara a nuestros oídos y decir, I don't go to that church either because son iguales que las demás. And it's like, what did we do to you, bro?
Yeah.
Right? Like, porque you don't know, like nosotros, like I said earlier, we grew up in the church, but we grew up loving people. We grew up loving Christ.
Somos una familia de Dios.
We grew up knowing that
Yeah.
we are all sinners. Okay, so in the Bible, it talks about how Jesus was walking and iban a apedrear a una mujer, right? Have you guys heard that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he told them, cast the first stone if you are free from sin. I'm not going to cast the first stone because I know I'm not free of sin. I'm only human.
We all sin.
We all sin.
So
We're not
todos
perfect.
pecamos.
We're not perfect at all.
No.
There's a difference between striving to become perfect to one day see Christ than to actually say, I'm perfect. Porque si fuera perfecta, I wouldn't be here. Where would I be?
We'll all be in heaven.
We
I'd be
would all
with
be in
Jesus.
heaven.
Yeah.
Fuéramos ángeles ya, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
So that ties back to don't judge all churches from your bad experiences. So what I'm trying to tell you, o lo que te estoy tratando de decir con este tema es que busca la iglesia, busca a Dios. Tu opción no es de nomás dejar solo porque tuviste una mala experiencia. La primera opción no debería ser me voy a salir completamente y voy a dejar a Dios.
Porque te terminas lastimando más.
Porque te aseguro que no vas a regresar anytime soon.
Y eso es lo que quiere el diablo. That's what the devil wants. The devil wants to hurt you. And so that you, and that mentality en tu mente, you start saying to yourself, if this church did this to me, si esta iglesia me hizo esto a mí, tal vez la hacen a otros jóvenes y también las otras iglesias son iguales. Y en su mente te pone a estar diciendo, I don't want to go to church no more. I don't want to go to church no more. You don't want to find God no more. Y ya te pone a estar alejando más de Dios y de salvation. Y ahí está, the devil is that's his plan. That's his strategy. That's what he wants you to think. That he wants you to keep you away from God, having you that mentality of God is salvation.
And I'm gonna tell you something that I physically wrote that I kind of liked, and like I was like estuve estudiando el comentario, estuve estudiando lo que estamos hablando, y lo que yo escribí and what I wrote is that there's never a hit that you don't see coming. That's the hit that people knock you out, like in a physical fight, but we're saying like people saying it now. Just like a lot of people who are watching us or hearing us, that you've all been hit of life and you didn't see it coming. You've been hit in life that you just be like, oh, what? I didn't expect that, you know? And so it knocked you out. It may be like bankruptcy or like a frustration from a coworker, or people telling you stuff that hurted you, and you're just on the floor, and then people are counting like 1, 2. It's like a boxing match. 1, 2, and you're debating, should I even get up, or should I even try again? I'm here to tell you guys, like, it's time to get up. It's like, get up. You are marked by God, and like the fight is not over, and God has a plan for you. And this famous thing that always touches my heart, it says, because if God is for me, who can be against me?
True fact. So the thing that David brought up, you see the hit coming. As young kids. Okay, so as young kids, I feel like we could be blind because we don't want to see that hit coming. Porque when you accept Jesus, cuando tú aceptas en servir a Dios, you always know that there's always going to be something against you.
There'll be multiple hits.
There's going to be multiple hits.
It's gonna be a round match, bro.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson against Mayweather.
It's a Royal Rumble.
Yeah, no,
WWE.
pero lo que dijo David is true.
It is.
You see that hit coming. Which brings me to my next topic. And I want you guys to speak out on this if you guys feel like it's the right thing or if you guys agree with it. Resiste the urge to speak negatively about the church.
Oh,
That's a good one.
eso sí está difícil.
That's a good one.
And that's
Está duro.
It's tough because the first thing that you want to do is literally do that.
It's hate.
The first thing that you want to do is once you get out, talk so bad about that church or
Just
whatever
talking
church.
smack, right?
Aquí,
That's what you want to do.
Allá, y todo. Aquí me hicieron aquí, allá, allá, y aquí nada.
Sí, el tópico que trajo mi hermano ahorita, el punto número 3, es lo primero que cada individual sea no tiene que ser nada del cristianismo también. Puede ser así, cosas en el trabajo, te sales del trabajo, lo primero que haces es hablar mal del trabajo. Es algo que
That's true.
algo parte del humano. Literalmente
del
lo
ser
primero que
humano,
hace
Honestly,
es hablar de
for real.
negativeces, de lo que puede hacer del trabajo, del dinero. En esta ocasión estamos hablando de la iglesia y es lo primero que un individual hace literalmente cuando se sale de la iglesia es hablar mal de
¿Pero por
la
qué?
iglesia.
¿Por qué?
Porque se le hace más fácil culparlos.
Pero mira,
más
aquí-
fácil culparlos
porque-
instead of forgiving them.
Okay, pero mira, understand this. Una cosa que yo he aprendido, and it's been so hard, and I feel like a lot of people really need to learn how to do this, is before judging, antes de juzgar, júzgate a ti mismo. Porque remember, nuestro dad ha predicado y ha dado ejemplo que cuando tú apuntas,
Hay tres dedos
Hay tres
que
te están
apuntan en la iglesia.
apuntando.
1, 2, 3. There's 3 fingers pointing back at you. Hay 3 dedos apuntándote de regreso. ¿Qué fue lo que yo hice para que me dijeran? Tal vez no te juzgaron, porque esta es otra cosa. Tal vez no fue algo que te juzgaron, sino que fue algo que te trataron de corregir.
Sí, hay dos
Sí,
diferentes
Porque
cosas.
as a young kid, we don't like to be told what is wrong because we see it as I'm
Yep.
always right.
We think
And I
everything's
was-
right.
I was literally gonna mention something like that before we finish off because it's good to see things in two different ways.
Mhm.
Why? Because the first part is churches, the first thing that they want to do is help you grow and help you change.
Exactly.
The second part that you see or don't see is the individual who is either not trying to follow the rule and changing or growing and just staying stuck with them, which leads to being hurt within the church. So you got to look at it both ways. If you're not putting your part into opening up and listening to the suggestions that the church is saying, like, hey, we're this is a way that's going to help you grow. And if you're not listening and willing to make that change, you're always going to feel hurt.
Exactly. So that's why I brought this topic up. Por eso traje este tema, porque este punto, porque a veces que no, we lean one way, but we don't lean the other way. It's like tenemos que aprender a entender que hay veces que el líder, o en este caso sea el pastor, no te está juzgando, sino que lo que está haciendo es te está diciendo, oye, tienes que arreglar esto en tu vida, porque Dios quiere que camines de esta manera.
You know,
Y
mucho.
como joven, o tal, no siempre son los jóvenes,
No.
sino que también hay adultos que quieren hacer they want to be the black sheep. No escuchan la suggestion.
Por eso, and that's what, como dije en el principio, that literally leads to las ciertas ocasiones de que, oh, me lastimaron en la iglesia. Porque tú no estás poniendo de tu parte en crecer y aprender y escuchar, que es algo difícil también, el escuchar de los consejos o de lo que quiere el pastor, quiera que arregles para crecer.
Y no te estoy
Como
diciendo que el
individualmente.
pastor o el líder sea perfecto.
Oh,
No. Pero tenemos que entender que el líder fue puesto por Dios. So, tiene que haber un like a mutual respect there. You know?
es como like like in the United States, right? Everyone has a mayor, governor, and a president. And those each of those categories are placed by the people who voted for them to be in those leadership roles. And what do we have to do as citizens is we literally have to obey everything that they say because of the laws that they put.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing in the church. Los líderes son los que ponen esas reglas y son como para la iglesia, los hermanos que están en la congregación tienen que
let's call not the congregación. Let's call it what's the word I'm looking for? El liderazgo. Let's call it the board of the church. Que hay veces que ellos son los que no ponen reglas, sino que those are your go-to people.
Exactly.
So let's just call it the board, the
Well-
board of the church.
We'll go with that one.
Okay, which leads me to our last and final point. Okay? And I hope, and honestamente espero que nuestra plática te ayude a entender y abrir tus ojos un poquito más y tu mente a lo que Dios se quiere decir, a lo que te estamos tratando to tell you about that maybe sometimes it's not the church that's hurting you. Okay? Last topic last point, and it's a very hard one. Because again, we're going to go back as human beings, we tend to do other things. Punto número 4. Perdona a las personas que te han herido. Forgive those who have hurt you. That's a hard one.
It is a hard one because nowadays the youth or like gente más mayores, it's something hard that they don't want to do. Es una cosa que ellos no quieren hacer, es perdonar. Porque van a decir, ¿por qué los voy a perdonar si me dijeron esto o me están haciendo esto? You know? Es una cosa in Mark 11:25. It says, and whenever you stand praying, forgive. It says the word forgive. If you have anything against anyone, so that your Father also who is in heaven may forgive your trespasses. That's like the key word. Forgive.
Sí, el perdonar nunca va a ser fácil. Por eso hay muchas veces que aún en las relaciones, también si hay un argument, it's hard to even say sorry back in something like that.
Honestly.
So I can't imagine saying sorry to someone who probably hurt you in the church, because in a way, in the church, you should never feel hurt.
No,
and
not at all.
Having that courage to say, okay, I forgive you for what you did, regardless, because I'm in church, that's tough. It's tough. And there's a verse. I'm gonna go with another verse that I found for that type of thing. Okay. And it's gonna pop up on your screen, Matthew 6:15. It says, but if you do not forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins. Mateo 6:15. Mas si no perdonáis a los hombres sus ofensas, tampoco vuestro Padre os perdonará vuestras ofensas. ¿Qué quiere decir este versículo? Para ti, ¿qué quiere decir esto?
Es lo mismo como el ejemplo que te di, que Jesús le dijo, si eres libre de pecado, tira la primera piedra. Throw your first stone. Like, if you think that you have to, like, tú me tienes que venir a pedir perdón a mí, it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. If we're trying to follow what God has told us to do, it says, mas no, that's the one, right?
Yeah, right there.
Mas no perdonáis a los hombres sus ofensas. Mas si no perdonáis a los hombres sus ofensas, tampoco vuestro Padre os perdonará vuestras ofensas. So, how do you expect to forgive? Or how do you expect to be forgiven, but you don't want to forgive? ¿Cómo con ese, like, how do you expect to get on your knees and say, God, perdóname? Like, todas mis ofensas que yo he hecho. It doesn't work like that. ¿Tú quieres que Dios te perdone? Dios te perdona because He's a God of mercy, right? Mm-hmm. Pero tú también tienes que enseñar mercy. So,
yeah, exactly.
So to our viewers, to our subscribers, that's what we have for you guys on the table.
All right, guys. This was a really good topic to talk about for our second podcast. And I hope that whoever's watching us or listening to us understood the 3 topics we talked about, which was to pray, don't flee from God, and to forgive. Which would be the 3 topics that we hand out as in how to heal from a hurting church.
Exactly. So that brings us to the conclusion of our second episode. Eso concluye nuestro segundo episodio. No se les olvide comentar para qué otros temas quieren que hablemos. Como dijo mi hermano en el principio, vamos ya a estar incluyendo cosas de música en el próximo episodio. Así que no se les olvide comentar de una canción, de un ritmo, de los gear talks, de lo que quieren saber sobre instrumentos. Y no se les olvide también suscribirse a nuestro canal. Abajo va a salir nuestro pop-up para que puedan ver cómo presionarle like, subscribe y pegarle la campanita para nunca perderte un episodio.
Y no se te olvide compartir. Don't forget to share. Because it's important que no solo tú seas bendecido o crezcas espiritualmente, sino que es importante que los demás, otras personas también puedan entender. Tal vez si hay momentos que tal vez sea un video de motivación para esa persona que tal vez está pasando por ese momento. So please share the video, tell your friends. It could bring them to the feet of Christ. So let's keep on praying for our friends. Let's keep on sharing and let's keep on spreading the gospel.
And let's keep on growing as a family.
Una familia.
That is it for our second episode. So, like I said, we'll see you guys in episode 3. Peace.
Eres la luz de mi corazón. Caminaré confiado sin temor.